Howdy, and welcome to the Feed Bandit Podcast, where we have fun talking all things hunting, and in the process, do our best to support small and family-owned businesses in the hunting space. Here are your hosts and resident bandits, Jimmy Byrne and Richard Kinchlow. Howdy, folks. Welcome back to the Feed Bandit Podcast. Jimmy here, and as usual, I'm joined by my co-host and fanatical duck hunter, Richard. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great, sir. Doing great. Good evening, everybody. Oh, God, I always do that.
That's all right.
Good day, everybody.
Yeah. Or just howdy, you know.
Yeah, howdy. Thanks. I gotta stop. It's like
for all you folks listening to it at all different hours of the day, right?
Yeah, that's right.
But, yeah. Well, in this episode, we're really excited to speak with Adam Peeler of Lifetime Decoys. Real quick on Lifetime Decoys, their premium decoy rigging equipment is built with coated steel cable construction to be the easiest to use, most tangle resistant, and longest lasting decoy rigging equipment available anywhere. Adam is the sales and marketing manager for Lifetime Decoys, and welcome, Adam, to the Feed Bandit Podcast. We're excited to talk to you tonight. How are you doing?
Thanks, guys. Thanks, Jimmy and Richard. Thanks for having me on the podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. That little intro of Lifetime Decoys. I mean, that's I know we're really excited to talk about what all that's about and everything. But before we start, if you don't mind, just kind of giving us an idea on who you are, how you got into the business, how you got to where you are, and how you joined up with Lifetime Decoys, and we can go from there.
Yeah, sounds good. Now, I actually just came into the waterfowl industry about 2 years ago. Lifetime Decoys was looking for more of a sales position throughout to reach out to retailers, and since then, I've become more of sales and marketing and social media. So with a small company, of course, we wear a lot of hats. So came on about 2 years ago, and Lifetime Decoys, like you said, is premium rigging equipment for duck hunting. And it started with Peter and Dane, which Peter is the owner and Dane is the VP. And it started about 6 years ago, and even before that they had went out and hunted and looked at their rigging when they got out there, brand new rigging, brand new decoys, got out to the location, and everything was completely built with memory. And at that point, Peter looked down at his rigs and was like, there's got to be a better way. So that's kind of how, really Lifetime Decoys started from the beginning, about, probably about 7 years ago.
Okay, great. Well, I know Richard's been salivating for this one. As I mentioned at the beginning, he is the resident duck hunting fanatic, if you will.
Or sometimes just bird watcher. If right. you go and you listen to some of the earlier podcasts, my duck season in kind of Central Texas started out really good, and it just tanked. I think I was skunked 6 times in a row. I'm a bit bitter.
Yeah, a lot of people were bird watchers this year, I think. And of course, both of us being in Texas, we got a really good teal season, and it was real spotty after that.
Yes. Yep.
Well, why don't you, if you don't mind, jumping in a little more into talking about the rigging equipment and what are the problems that it helps us solve when we're out there?
Yeah, so the rigging equipment is made of a PVC coated steel cable, and of course we make our cable with a brown tint to it. Matches kind of a little bit more to the natural colors in the water and on the ground when you're duck hunting. But the PVC coated steel, what it does is it actually helps with the not the buildup of memory. So the inherent line memory that you get with monofilament, and like you've probably seen, you go out 1 year and those rigs just look like a weed eater line, or they're a weed eater line, and they look like a rat's nest, after a little while. So, this PVC coated steel actually wants to stay straight. Another advantage to the PVC coated steel in our Texas rigs is that when you actually set it in water, say you're hunting with a 48-inch rig, you can set it in 20 inches of water, and it's not going to curl up on you and show outside of the water, which is a big deal for hunting.
Yeah.
People look at their decoys and they want to change, mid-hunt, where decoys are. And if you've got lines sticking out of the water, it also, kind of looks strange. So that's kind of our Texas rigs. We've got everything from your rice field 30-inch 3-ounce to your all-around 48 4-ounce, and then we go to a 6-ounce weight, which is actually, we go from a teardrop style to a mushroom style weight for the 6-ounce.
And why is that, Adam?
Yeah, so that's usually when you have either places where you've got wind or higher like waves or anything like that. That 6-ounce weight will actually turn on its side, and it's got an edge to it, so it can grab and it doesn't go along. So usually when you've got places that don't really have too much vegetation, it will actually grab and sit on the side.
Okay.
An egg sinker style, which we have in our 3 and 4-ounce, those are usually for spots that don't have as much wind or waves, and then also it's got a little bit of vegetation. So when you're pulling that weight back up, you just don't grab every bit of vegetation on the way up.
Right. Yeah, I personally use the I think it's either the 3 or the 4-ounce egg, the egg sinker. And it's been fun. It's been fantastic.
Good.
Going out there and putting the decoys out was always just a real pain, and something that I tried to do. I tried to reinvent the wheel a lot. I had some of my grandfather's decoys, and he would use, he would use kite string with with an old screwdriver, the old days, right? And then I'd have them in the bag, and I'd slock them over my shoulder, and I'd go throw them out there, and they did okay, especially for teal, who aren't the brightest duck in the families, but I still love them. They're my favorite. But then I started to realize that, first and foremost, it's taken me forever, to unwrap these decoys. It's all around their neck. The other thing is I was just scratching the living heck out of my decoys. So going to the Texas rig that you guys have really eliminated the need to do that. The other thing is, excuse me, from an ease of use standpoint, I just literally, I get out there in the middle of the water, I unhook the carabiner, and then I'm just sitting there holding them in my hand, and I can just walk along and drop them.
Right.
And it has just made a huge difference in my ability to set up, but also to clean up too.
Right. Yeah, that's one of the advantages, our Texas rigs have over some of the other ones. Some of the other kind of rigging that you've got out there are a sliding weight design, which ours are, have the weight stationary at the bottom. That also gives you the advantage of when you're picking up a decoy, the weights or the little loop is right at the top, so you can grab it go from there.
Yep.
But the sliding weights, you have that mono and the sliding weight, and usually it'll get kinks in it. Well, what happens is you throw out your rigs, and the weight only goes halfway down and gets stuck at the kink.
Right.
So your decoy starts floating further and further off.
Right.
So I don't know if y'all have had to chase any of those before, but it's not fun.
Oh no. Well, no. You know what I call that? I call that well, I used to call that because it hadn't happened to me in a while. But when it did, I called a summertime decoy. That is, we'll see you in the summer because I can't get in that water.
Yep.
Yep.
That's true.
Yep. Well, and I also like the fact that like you were saying, that it keeps that the line stays below the water. I cannot tell you how many times with my old rigs, and so just to back up, my old rigs were some things that I made up, and I think they were the they're almost like the generic plastic decoy line, right? And then I had these little push button cinch things that I was using, and of course I would rig these things up thinking that I was going sea duck hunting off the coast of Maine. So I'd have 50 feet of God, it was just a nightmare, And then I realized, what, my tank is at the most about 5 foot deep where I'm hunting, but still, even still, that line would float up. And by the time we got to mid-December, when those birds are getting a little smarter, it was killing me on my hunting opportunities.
Yeah, I will ask you one question. Do you use a jerk rig?
So funny you say that. I have one, and I have never set one up because. So our duck blinds, if you will, are really consist of under an oak tree, or just in some bush, some brush on the bank. And by the time the sun comes up, we're pretty much dead in the water because they can see us. So one of the problems is I've never been able to come up with an appropriate length to you know what I'm saying? To okay, if I need the decoys out there, I'm going to be over here. Because knowing my luck, I'll go out there and set it up, and I'll be 10 feet short, and it'll just have to sit there. But I've got one. I've never tried to talk to us about the jerk rig, because I've seen it on TV. Talk to us about it and tell us: is it something that can you use it in the late season? When do you jerk on it? So on and so forth.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, jerk rig, of course, has been really for me one of the most important things that I take to the blind. And you're talking about motion in the water is key. So, we go from having a day that, has, let's say, a bluebird day with no winds. Let's say you have a mojo or a lucky duck out there, and there's just no ripples. I mean, how does that look to the ducks that are flying over? So you have to look at it from just kind of churning up the water and making some more ripples for them to try kind of look at it and say, okay, well, there's some movement there. There's some ducks going around.
Right.
So our jerk rig is actually a little bit different than, a lot different than what's on the market. Usually you have 4 set places that you get to put your rig or your decoys, and they're on these little tiny clips that you usually are fiddling with in the morning when it's cold. So
and I got sausage fingers, so and no fingernails, so trying to rig those up, and I'm not probably a little bit hungover too. It just makes for a miserable experience personally.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So our jerk rig is 90 feet. It's with the same PVC coated steel. Okay. It's got swivels every 6 to 8 feet, so when you're rolling it back into the spool, it actually can roll over itself as it comes back in.
That's nice.
The real distinct, difference between ours and some of the others is we actually go off of a drop system. So our drop system is 6 decoy drops, and you can connect your decoys to those drops and have them on a carabiner when you step out there. All you do is you go out with the main spool, drop the weight, and as you're walking back, you clip on each decoy wherever you want on the main line.
Okay.
So you can kind of customize it more.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, it's completely different. I mean, we've done it to where you have 2 or 3 out far, and you have 2 in close. So when you move it, it's actually moving the water on this pod over to the right and a little bit to the pod that's kind of closer to you.
Right.
And then also the line itself with the drops actually drops the line underneath the water column.
Right.
So you don't see it from up top, which is another thing that other jerk rigs do. You can see a line coming all the way back to your blind.
Sure.
Which looks a little irregular.
Sure. No, there's no doubt. Tell me, Adam, about still talking about motion and whatnot. The one thing that I've always preached, and I'm not sure if I'm preaching the right thing, is is, I typically will put my Mojo away, or my Mojo decoy, or my motion decoy away. Typically, by January 1, I'm kind of done using it.
Right.
Is that the same as the jerk rig, or what are your thoughts on that?
I think the flappers or the spinners are a little bit different than the jerk rig. I mean, I can see where, you see those spinners all the way through, from Canada all the way down to Texas. So
Right.
We typically don't run them as late either.
Right.
We will keep a jerk rig running though, because whether you have it there, if you sense that maybe something's going off or that they're not liking it, then you can just stop pulling it.
That's very true.
Like
sure.
But really, we've seen it work all the way through the season, and usually you'll pull that, say, on their side swing, so they're not coming directly over you or right at you, because, of course, the jerk rig is in one line. Right. What you do is you'll actually pull that when they're far away, or if they're onto the side, say your left or your right swinging. Right. And what that does is, from the side view, it actually looks like ducks are moving in and within itself. So they're going back and forth. So it looks like not only the 6 decoys are moving, but it really looks like, more and more ducks are going in and passing each other.
Right.
So that's usually when we start pulling it. Now, you don't want to start pulling it right when they're over you, directly over you. But
sure.
It works great as far as just putting that extra motion, putting those ripples in the water. Because without ripples and without motion, if you look at any kind of video of ducks from above, I mean, they're constantly moving.
Oh yeah. I mean,
they'll call you out if they don't see that motion.
Right.
Well, no, I mean, that's one of the things I will frequently complain about after I get done, unloading all my gear, and storing everything for the after the morning hunt is my decoys just sat there like a bunch of cataclysmic ducks. It just doesn't work that way. Ducks don't just sit there.
We call that the concrete effect.
Yes,
and you just kind of sit them out there, and they pretty much just set up in the concrete and sit there the whole day.
So frustrating.
Yeah, it will definitely be a killer for your ducks that are a little bit more educated.
Right.
How does a gang rig work?
So the gang rig's set up more like for your sea duck style. That is going to be the same kind of spool. It's a little bit longer. It's about 150 foot, and that has a weight on either side. There's no bungee to it. There's weight on either side. You go out, set one weight, and as you're going, you put the decoys on the drops, and you clip it onto the main line, and then you drop another weight on the other side. So that's typically for those sea duck hunters that are going out there for like pit boss waterfowl that's out there hitting the scoters and different ducks with long tails.
Right.
Now, I have seen some people on the coast use them as well. It's just an easier setup as far as like if you've got a really big spread and you're just putting them out with a boat. But on the coast here too, I mean, tons of people just use Texas rigs. I mean, we use 48.4s and 48.6s on the coast all the time. Right. So it just doesn't have as much of a tide or waves. And usually you're right in the Gulf, so there's not too much to worry about. But you get out there on the East Coast or the West Coast, you need a little bit more to keep those decoys there. Sure. So that's set up more for that. We've had some people actually use it for big rivers as well, and they'll set them up. Yep, they'll set them up with boats and lay them out across. Not all the way across the river, but they'll put kind of a semicircle, and they'll put two to three lines on that, and then put some extra just Texas rigs closer to the bank.
Sure.
And that will work that way.
Mm-hmm. I like it. So you mentioned the coast, and we talked about briefly about an article that was in the Houston Chronicle, kind of at the end of the duck season, that was talking about how, particularly on the coast, it was just I mean, it was feast and famine, more in the famine department. The redheads just didn't show up, so on and so forth. Two questions. Did you do any coastal hunting this season? And if you did you experience that as well?
Yeah, I think I went to Port Mansfield this year, and
nice.
I usually make a trip around the Aransas Pass, but
Okay.
I was down around Port Mansfield this year, and the redheads just weren't there. I mean, we shot pintails and widgeon and gadwall.
Oh, nice.
But the redheads, we went to one of their favorite redhead spots, and it just it didn't go so well. It was just kind of weird this year. The redheads really didn't show up like usually you're sitting out there on the Aransas Pass, and you can pick your redhead almost.
Right.
But it just wasn't like that this year, which is kind of weird. And that's for all the duck hunting too. I mean, we had teal come early, and then we'd get our limit every once in a while. But I made trips up to Oklahoma and Kansas to kind of get into the ducks.
Yeah. Okay. So man, you must have been one of the sources for this Houston Chronicle article.
I remember talking about that.
That's what they were saying. I fondly recall cursing our fellow duck hunters in Kansas and Oklahoma because the article was saying that they just held up. They literally just held up in Oklahoma and Kansas.
Any idea as to why?
Well, the weather, they said.
I mean, there's a lot of people that say that it was short-stopped by weather, which, I mean, you look at the weather this year, you see tons of people that are posting now. I wish duck hunting was now. We're starting to get ducks. So that could be a thing. I mean, Oklahoma had a really good year this year. I mean, Oklahoma and Kansas did. Kansas, we were kind of focused more on lessers, and then Oklahoma, it was ducks, and they just had a really good group go there, and they stopped. I have some buddies up in the Dallas-Fort Worth area that weren't getting anything, so it was almost like they hit the Red River, and we're like, oh, that's far enough.
That's it. Yeah, that's crazy. So as a duck hunter, what is your favorite? What is your favorite duck as far as what duck do you think is the coolest looking, and what's your favorite duck to eat?
Oh, well, see, the favorite looking one, I'd have to say a pintail. I mean, that's probably, a lot of people like it. It's very elegant.
Yep.
The chocolate top, I love it. I mean, the sprigs are amazing, and I've yet to get one on my wall, actually.
Oh, okay. All right.
I haven't gotten a nice enough sprig and one later in the season, so that's one of my bucket lists. But teal, I actually really like eating teal. And we made teal and eggs for teal season. Lifetime Decoys kind of we make a big deal out of teal season, and we get some of the. I
love it.
Yeah, we get some people down from in the industry to come down to Peter's family ranch down around El Campo. And
nice.
It's usually a very fun time. So
I can imagine. We
had quite a few people down and had a very good teal shoot this past season.
Oh, that's great.
But teal, they're small birds, but they definitely do taste good.
Oh, they are my favorite.
It sounds like I was gonna say, it sounds like listening to you talk. It's like...
Yeah. No, I love the teal. I love to shoot them, and I love to eat them. It's funny, those, the early teal seasons. I am a dove hunting fanatic. And so you do teal hunting in the morning, and then duck hunt or dove hunting at night. And if I have two good shots, I just like, well, that's it. The horn can blow now. God can take me because life is good. I mean, I love it. And that's why it hurts so bad when it's so terrible. And I have one good teal shoot. It was, ironically enough, one good teal shoot, early teal shoot, and then the evening before was the only limited dove I killed. So less than 24 hours, I got my season full, I guess. So
wow,
Yeah.
We tried to we tried to manage. We managed the property a little bit for teal season.
Right.
We had I think 3 or 4 different locations that we can hunt, and we kind of cut out some smartweed and flooded it.
Nice.
And also had rice fields. So it was definitely managed for teal season.
Awesome.
And we had a pretty successful teal season all 3 weekends really.
Oh, that's awesome.
But I've heard from people that were close by that really didn't have that great of season.
Right.
So it's just kind of hit and miss.
Sure.
We had one of the days we almost thought we weren't going to hunt because there were storms coming in and there was lightning, so we had to postpone.
Right.
But eventually got into the hole and were able to kill some.
Nice. Now, do you guys? I mean, we typically get blue wings. And same thing with y'all, because it is very rare for me to shoot. It's very rare for me to shoot a green wing during early teal season, and it's very rare for me to shoot a blue wing during regular teal season. Is
right.
Regular duck season. Is that the same where you guys hunt?
Yeah, we were around. I think just over 80 blue wing teal for that teal season, and it was just blue wing teal. We didn't shoot one green wing. Yeah.
Now, okay, since you guys, and I'm sorry, I'm kind of hogging him here, Jimmy, but
this is your.
I love
this is your about bailiwick.
It is.
He tries to. I've duck hunted with Richard several times. I've been sitting in the deer blind in the morning, but you're kind of firing me up to get back out there. And,
No, I did see the social media. It was mainly deer hunting, turkey hunting, and then some dove and duck, sprinkled in there every once in a while.
See, I'm the turkey fanatic.
Yes.
Well, you're gearing up right now.
That's right.
And then we are covered with them. Hey, have you guys ever shot a cinnamon teal?
That is, I've actually got one in my son's room right now.
Oh, you're kidding me! Shot in Texas.
Shot in Texas, correct?
Did you shoot him in Texas?
Yes, I did. Yep, it was actually out in West Texas where I grew up. So we have a spot that's back out towards Midland area, and for some reason, if you've got some water, you're on that flight path down to Mexico.
Awesome.
Yeah, you get them a little bit over there, but it's still pretty sporadic. I mean,
are we there?
I shot that one. Yeah, I shot that one 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Well, that's awesome. Okay. That's awesome.
Yeah, they're beautiful birds, though.
You said you grew up out in West Texas. Where'd you grow up?
Midland.
Oh, in Midland.
Okay. Oh, perfect.
All right.
Yep. Oil field town, and I actually grew up doing dove and quail out there. I actually didn't shoot a duck till college, so I kind of got my start in dove and quail, and then moved on. And then of course, duck is just consumes me now.
Sure. Oh yeah. Where'd you go to college, just for the fun of it?
Yep, Texas A&M.
Okay, perfect. All right.
Yep. And all of Peter and Dane are both Texas A&M alum.
Okay.
So that was an easy job interview.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Well, Jimmy and I are Red Raiders, so.
I got you. Yep. Yeah. I went. Of course, I was very close to Texas Tech, and had a lot of my friends go there.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because growing up, I did a lot of tank jumping. We had a lease in Throckmorton, and I'd go out there and I'd sit with my grandfather's screwdriver weighted decoys and whatnot. But being out there in Lubbock is really where I honed my fanaticism. It's kind of like a guy over here and then going over to Lebanon or the Congo to become a radical terrorist type thing. It's you go up to Lubbock.
Training?
I got my training. I came back and I was mumbling anyway. But that's where I really became a dove and duck and waterfowl in general. Hunting fanatic. And man, when that stuff gets in your blood, it's tough to shake.
well, it's just, I mean, so many things go into it, from throwing out decoys to
Right, the
planning
dogs.
your wind to
Yep.
dogs and calls, and there's just a lot of things that go into actually getting a bird to finish, which is just exciting for me.
No, no doubt, no doubt. It's an accomplishment. So, what as far as new projects is concerned, do you guys have anything in the works, or what's
We
new?
definitely, we definitely have some things in the works, and actually that's the official launch will be later this year, and we're going to have those products out for fall. Unfortunately, I cannot say the new products just
That's okay.
yet. So
That's okay.
You'll definitely have to tune into the social media and check that out. But it is definitely, of course, Lifetime Decoys, we want to be innovators in the waterfowl industry, and I think we've done that with the Texas rigs. So we're going to apply that to a few different products and go from there. So it's very exciting now.
That's a good tease for everybody. Everybody listening, stay tuned.
Right.
I was just curious. I see that you got for the Texas rigs, you have a brown version, a maize, and a green.
Correct.
What is the most popular color that people usually go with?
Brown's definitely the most popular. Yeah. That's our most, that's our ones that's purchased the most. The green is actually what we started with back 6-7 years ago, and that was actually when Peter was making all of these rigs out of his garage, and decided, hey, I'm going to go into a highly competitive market and sell decoy rigging, and when we got into that, people started saying, hey, these green rigs, work great for South Texas early season, but, it sticks out just a little bit during the late season. So
I was going to say, correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, it really depends on the predominance of wherever you're hunting. If you hunt at a certain location a lot, you got to pay attention to really kind of what the water looks like, I guess, or how clear it is, and just all the factors that go into that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and of course the brown it's almost a maroon color, which we did not plan on that, but it's a very brown color with a hint of maroon, and it definitely goes with the earth tones a little bit better. The maize is we had some hunters that really wanted a maize rig for corn and a few different areas that they hunted that were just a little bit lighter. So we decided to do that, and they're just kind of special runs that we have a limited supply on. Now, if you go into a retail store, all you're going to see is brown, and that's anywhere you go, Max Prairie Wings, Cabela's, Bass Pro, all those Rogers, kind of the big waterfowl stores, they'll have our rigging.
Awesome. Well, I understand the maroon kind of slipping in there. It's a subconscious thing probably. I was just thinking, if we made one, the scarlet or the red line may not work very well. So.
Yeah, of course, and we wouldn't shoot a duck, which fits in with my 2018 season. So, yeah. Well, now that we know you're an Aggie, it explains why you like the Sprig so much. Because I've always looked at their heads and think, it's a little brown. You could call it maroon, when the sun hits it. So
I've always been, just, and I think it might have even intensified after getting the pintails down to 1, for the year. Just last year, which was just looking for it, and that I think I only shot a few pintail that year, and it just wasn't pretty enough to put up on the wall, but definitely pretty enough to eat.
Oh yeah. Well, speaking of, what how do you eat your duck? What do you guys do? You have a standard recipe you go with, or how do y'all do it?
So there is, the peel and eggs is essentially just cutting it up into little strips and putting some butter and salt and pepper and putting it in your eggs. But one thing I've actually really enjoyed lately, aside from just we actually put it into a, if you've got mallard or something bigger, we'll actually put that in and marinate that in Dr. Pepper and wine and a few other stuff throughout the night, and then put that on the grill.
Nice.
But I actually tried this past time smoking and making jerky out of duck, and that is fantastic.
Really?
Duck and goose. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. You gotta smoke it for a little while. You gotta put it in there for about 8 hours.
Okay.
But it comes out tasting amazing. So
really? Okay.
Yep. Yeah, I tried that actually this year with a group of mallards and lessers that I got from Kansas.
Okay.
And you couldn't tell the difference between real jerky and duck, and I thought it even tasted a little bit better. It had a little bit more of a gamey taste, which I personally like.
Sure. Fantastic. You know what? One thing we did, we went on one of those conservation snow goose hunts, and talk about. We were up there in near Dumas, and I literally thought I was going to die on the prairie. I mean, I was a degree past miserable cold, but man, it was fun, especially when you got 50,000 snow geese about to land on there. Right. But we had all this goose meat, and so one of the things we did was we actually put in a slow cooker, and put a little barbecue sauce on, a little salt and pepper, and onion powder or whatever, and God, that night we had pulled goose sandwiches. God,
really?
It was fantastic. I mean, you really couldn't tell that you were eating that you were eating snow goose.
Right.
It's fun. That's one of the things we enjoy. We enjoy going around and cooking different types of things.
Nice. Well, I will tell you, the best duck that I've had in the last few years was at a place down in Port Mansfield called Getaway Lodge.
Nice.
And now it's a secret recipe, so they won't give it out to you. But it is essentially a sweet and spicy, almost like a hot wing, but it's made up of duck, and it's a little crunchy, but got the spice and the sweet to it. And it's got cilantro on it and everything. I mean, it was fantastic. So if anybody ever goes down to Port Mansfield to Getaway Lodge, definitely ask that.
Interesting. I have never done a coastal trip, Texas coast trip. I would love to do that. So that sounds like fun. Very cool.
Yeah, it's a very fun trip. I mean, you get out on a airboat and go out across the flats and set up and it's a little bit different.
Right.
Awesome. Well, Adam, really appreciate your time tonight. I want to be respectful of your time around dinner, hearing everything, and but I want to give you an opportunity if there's anything else you kind of wanted to run by our listeners. We could talk about that, or
just of course, we've got some big things coming up. Stay tuned around, late summer, because we'll definitely be dropping some new products and just kind of, I guess, follow the Lifetime Decoys Instagram and Facebook. We'll have both of those things, both of those platforms where we'll announce new products and kind of where we're going with the Lifetime Decoys brand. So that would probably be the main thing to look forward to, because we definitely have some game changers in the works.
Okay, great. Do you want to give out the Instagram and the Facebook page?
Yeah, Instagram's just Lifetime Decoys, and same as the Facebook. And our website is www.lifetimedecoys.com.
Okay, great. Well, folks, that's been Adam Peeler. He's a sales and marketing manager for Lifetime Decoys. Thanks, Adam, so much for joining us on the Feed Bandit podcast.
Hey, thanks for having me on.
Well, folks, again, that was Adam Peeler of Lifetime Decoys. We just want to thank him for his time for coming on the podcast and having a really good duck conversation. I learned a lot. I know you had a good time, Richard, talking to him about duck hunting. And like I said when we were talking earlier, he's kind of fired me up again. I think I'm going to have to go out and join you this fall.
Oh yeah, no, especially when all you got to go do is park the Ranger, and I got to do all the work.
I'll carry your gun to the blind.
There you go. That's the deal. It's yet again another example of somebody that recognized a problem and did something about it. You know, he had the gentleman, I believe his name is Peter, is the owner, one of the owners. He had the guts to go out there and put it all on the line, and came up and solved a huge problem. So it's I just love hearing these stories, especially when it's in the outdoor marketplace, especially when it's a Texas-based company, obviously near and dear to our hearts. So I can attest to their products. I use them again when I go bird watching, and I put them out there, and they work. They're great.
We go waterfowl watching, right?
Yes.
So I'm curious, and I wish I'd asked when he was still on the phone, and you probably may know the answer to this. Why are they called Texas rigs? Why Texas?
Well, I don't know.
Yeah,
it's a great question. It's just that's kind of what I've always known them as, to be honest with you.
Right. It's just something like accept. It's like that's the name.
I think it's kind of like one of those, hey, I need a Kleenex, or I need a Kleenex. No, what is a tissue,
or make a Xerox. Oh, that's a
Xerox. Yes.
Oh, it's a Texas rig, of course.
right. Yeah, Xerox with a Z, though, of course, right?
Of course, yes.
Yeah.
We don't want to get sued here for trademark infringement or anything.
Yeah, of course not.
Awesome. Well, you got anything else before we wrap this one up? Put a bow on it.
This conversation has me dreaming of.
I know you're not going to sleep tonight.
Of early teal season. Actually, I think I am. I'm supposed to sleep very well because I had to demo my girls' bathrooms because of my leak that's still ever present, and so
But you'll be dreaming of ducks, so that's good.
Oh God, that would be much nicer. Yeah. So. Yeah.
All right. Awesome. Well, I'll let you get off to bed.
I appreciate it.
All right. All right. Well, folks, we hope you enjoyed this one as much as we did. It was fun. It was a good one. And, if you want to learn more or hear more about awesome new and innovative hunting products and services, please text the word bandit to 345-345. And there you'll get access to our email list where we send out the occasional email to let you know of things that we're running across and some deals that run across our desks. So if you wanna get on that list and hear all about it, text the word bandit to 345-345. We really appreciate you guys listening tonight. I was going to say watching, but I don't know what you'd be watching.
Yeah, we're that's phase. That's true. That's 2.0. We're actually in this. I don't want to blow it here, but we are working on our own TV channel.
Oh,
all day Feed Bandit. It's going to be great. Yeah.
It'd be like the Truman Show. It just follows us around the ranch, doing our stuff. But
that would be fun.
The Bandit Show.
Yes.
Well, with that, guys, thanks for listening, and have a good one.
Support your local feed store.
Yes, sir. Thanks for listening to the Feed Bandit podcast. If you want to find new and innovative hunting gear and service providers not typically offered through the traditional big box hunting stores, come on over and join the hunt at feedbandit.com/join. When you join, as a bonus, you'll get our entertaining free e-guide of unique hunting tips and tricks. And a reminder to all you small businesses, feed stores, gear inventors, or entrepreneurs in the hunting space, if you'd like to get more exposure to potential customers by being featured on the Feed Bandit podcast, please let us know. We'd love to discuss what we can do for you and your business. Go to feedbandit.com/promote. We hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, please give us a rating and review on iTunes, as it would really help us out. Go to feedbandit.com/iTunes. Thanks everyone for listening. Until next time, please remember to support your local feed store.